Yo guys, what is up? Max in our first Descendant video, and today we're going to be going over everything you need to know about Season 3, Episode 2, which just dropped today. I've been playing it a fair bit, grinding out the new character, the new weapons, and more. And along with the new content, there's a plethora of changes. We'll be breaking down everything you guys need to know. Real quick, this video is sponsored by Nexon. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Let's do this. All right, so to start us off, there is a new infiltration operation, Supermassive Receptor. This is a new dungeon. It's packed full of enemies, and the boss at the end is a tentacle monster that has quite a bit of HP. You really need to bring your strongest builds in to take it down, and you can go there through the Axion Plains. It's just on the map. Didn't have any mission requirements to do it before, so I think if you've done Axion Plains, you can just boot up into it. And also, you're going to be farming this dungeon for the new Descendant, Harris, which we'll talk about in a second, and the new weapon, the Hive. There's also Ancestor mods that you can get in it, which we'll talk about in a second, and a bunch of other things. But this is the new dungeon. It's one of the biggest pieces of new content for this season update. Next, we get to the new Descendant Harris, who I have gotten all of the parts for, but I have not gotten all of the materials to craft her yet. Harris is looking pretty sick. She kind of reminds me a bit of a melee / toxic version of Bunny. She's got multiple skills that allow her to group up enemies, punch them in the face, and also cause massive poison explosions or toxic explosions around her. Her fourth skill is a laser beam, kind of Iron Man-esque, that does a bunch of damage to enemies. I will be focusing on some build guides for her once I unlock her and start grinding her out. There's also a new Hypernova weapon. Now, this is a Battle Pass weapon. It's a new sword. It's got a few things going for it. First, you can throw the weapon at enemies. It will spin and inflict damage and toad on enemies, so it'll pull them in. You can also do a special attack when you retrieve the weapon, dealing damage to all enemies within range. It's got basic attacks that you can do. I have yet to get a sword or mess around with them, so no opinions on them yet, but I'm excited to try this one out. I do know that the Hypernova is currently locked as a paid thing in the Battle Pass. However, the devs have said that that's incorrect, and they're going to be updating it so that you should be getting 3 free versions of the Hypernova in the Battle Pass, and then one of them will be paid. They also added a new Hive Master Tac Rifle using special rounds. This thing looks insane. I've gotten enough to get 1 copy of it so far, but it attaches these shock bugs that fire beams at nearby enemies, dealing damage. And then while a bug is active, hitting a target reduces the shock bug's beam firing intervals and triggers discharge. Looks like a really powerful mobbing weapon. Haven't gotten that one yet. Next up, we've got Ancestor Modules. Now, these are going to be probably pretty decent shakeup to build crafting. Let's go over them. So these are the Ancestor mods. You can get them through farming the new dungeon. Also, Wall Crasher, you can get Ancestor mods from. And these are specific to Descendants. So, for example, this Hunter Resolution is specific to Viessa, and they random roll a bunch of different things. This has skill critical hit rate, singular skill power ratio, and max HP. I've got another one for Viessa that rolled max MP, tech, reduce max shield, and fusion. The way that these things work is they roll random values and random stats for your Descendants. They go in a normal module slot, so you're not needing to replace a Transcendent module to use them. And they can get pretty crazy. Now, the big thing that you can do with these is you can re-roll them. So let's say I wanted to re-roll this Viessa mod. The 4 different options that these can roll with is 2 positives, 3 positives, 2 positives and 1 negative, or 3 positives and 1 negative. If you roll a negative stat, your positives are going to be higher. So I think ideally you're going to be farming for at least 1 negative on your pieces of gear. And so, let's say we don't really need to reroll this one for Viessa, but let's say we wanted to. You can readjust these. Readjustments cost materials, and the more readjustments that you do, the more they are going to go up in price. So if you want to constantly keep rerolling them, they will get more and more pricey to reroll. I think the one that we have is probably better, so we can keep existing of these. And they're also, I believe, individualized for characters, if I'm not mistaken. but these are going to be very interesting for like if you're playing a character that might be a little bit weaker, you can get a crazy Ancestor mod that buffs up all of their damage, their HP, maybe their range, and really like, you know, use these to make your build for your character a little bit more individual. So they added 21 of these new Ancestor modules. You can own 70 Ancestor modules from Mastery Rank 1, and from Mastery Rank 11 onward, the capacity increases by 1 module per rank. There's a bunch of different ways, as I mentioned, to get them. From Supermassive Receptor, you can get 10 per week. Dimension Energy Stabilization Reading, daily rewards, you can get 1. Bonus Sigma sectors, you can get 1 per zone. ETA, you can get them. There's a bunch of different ways to acquire these. These are the readjustment of values. So 10 and beyond, every roll is going to cost like 2.6 million gold and almost 1 million Kuiper. So these are definitely going to get up there. If you were holding on to an abundance of Kuiper or gold, that would be a good way to get rid of all of it. And then you can get some extra readjustment materials from the different things. Void Vessel, 400% infiltration, Supermassive, Axion Planes. They also added 18 new Descendant modules and 32 melee weapon modules. A lot of these are corresponding with certain trigger modules. So like shield charges when landing a clash type skill converts percent of your defense into a percentage and applies it to skill power. Arcade Overlay, you had to have like Arcade Leak on, basically. Breach Explorer interacts with Power Beyond to self. On granting Void Recharge, you get extra range. When this effect is active, when landing a global dot or ground dot, you get extra skill power. So they are like, you know, synergistic with the different trigger modules. There's a bunch here. There's also some pretty cool melee ones. Once again, I haven't gotten around to messing with melee, but this Slaughterer basically allows you to inflict bleed on enemies, which seems really cool. There's also one to gain Berserk, which gives you a 50% chance to not consume rounds with a 20-second cooldown. That one also seems pretty interesting. Get a bunch of defense when killing swords. Hopefully, all of these new modules allow for even more build customization and crafting. And they also added 3 new trigger modules: Steel Vanguard, Relative Speed, and Domino Drive. Relative Speed seems pretty cool. At max stacks of Relative Speed, successful weak point attacks with a firearm deal AoE damage around the hit target. The damage increases by a percentage of your max MP. They also added a new battle pass with the like new knight armor that you can earn for free, which is pretty cool. They also added 19 new mutant cells. So there's a bunch more ways to expand on that end. Mutant cells, if you didn't know, go into your arcade tuning board to allow you for even further build customization. We've got some pretty interesting ones. When you buff an ally, you can get increased fire rate. That seems pretty strong. As well as when you're recovering allies, you can get skill crit rate and skill hit damage. There's some for like the different powers. When landing a critical hit with an aim shot skill, grant chill focus aiming, which gives you more chill skill power and more weak point damage. Might be pretty interesting on like Haley. There's some for emissions for like a bunny for electrical skill power increasing. That seems pretty nice. More range, reduced movement speed. When you land a global dot, wide battery range gives you reduced skill costs. Bunch of stuff. They also added 2 new external components, the Hazmat Disposal Team and the Pulsating Power. You can farm these from the new dungeon. Pulsating Power's 4-piece bonus. When you're using an emission type skill, you grant a stack of output amplification. When you get to max stacks, you get additional skill power for your emission types and also reduced skill cost. Could be pretty nice for Bunny. And then the Hazmat Disposal one gives you reduced dimension skill power and singular skill power, but at 5 stacks, you get 65% toxic skill power. Might be an interesting one for Harris. They also did a brand new Inversion reinforcement board where you can start basically ranking this up from 1 with a bunch of different new things. There's a lot of different sword enhancements now, which look pretty nice. And they also changed some things with leaderboards and Axion Planes. Then we get to Descendant Rebalance / improvements, which the biggest one to note is for Haley. Haley got basically everything that she uses buffed. She got increased weak point maximum damage. Cryo rounds are dealing from 93% base damage to 469. Storm Stairs damage got like basically doubled. The Freezing Beam AoE skill power damage basically got doubled. You're no longer losing as much movement speed from her like 3rd ability, and it stacks faster. Her Zenith, her fourth ability, got increases pretty much across the board, but the big thing is it now scales with the amount of cores. It doesn't care about the cores that your weapon is using. Well, it technically does because your weapon was doing damage, but now if you're using a cored weapon, you're going to get increases to crit damage, weak point, chill skill power, and damage reduction while you're using it, which is pretty nice. So you get extra rewards for using it with cores. I really like this change. There's a lot of like unique weapons, such as like Freyna's unique weapon for her fourth ability, that are tough to scale really high, and them having cores matter for that is pretty cool. Her cryogenic cluster shot got buffed from 257 cryo explosion damage to 1,288. I've actually been using this for mobbing. It's been pretty nice. It fires more, it hits more, and it hits way harder. Super cool Kuiper rounds also got buffed. Also benefits from cores. And then she got 2 new Transcendent modules. Camouflage sniping, which basically makes you invisible in your unique weapon, and then when you're hitting an enemy with your unique weapon, you deal even more damage. Seemed pretty cool for potentially bossing. Tried it out for mobbing, wouldn't recommend. And then her new module, Cold Heart, does something fantastic, which is you get increased movement speed instead of reduced movement speed, and you can send out like cryo novas. Seems like this is probably going to be her go-to mobbing Transcendent module. Haven't got it yet, but seems really cool. They also made improvements to Ultimate Luna, who I do not have yet, but Ultimate Luna is looking crazy. It seems like she's one of the stronger Descendants in the game. They also made some changes to Inez's and her max MP scaling effects. And then they also buffed up Glay. Glay Massacre build might be back on the menu now, depending on the amount of cores that you've got. You can get increased fire rate, firearm attack, weak point damage, bonus firearm attack versus Colossuses, and even more skill power. In addition to the new season going on, there's also ongoing login rewards and events where you can earn a bunch of free stuff, cosmetics, catalysts, and energy activators. And they also added a bunch of new stuff to the microtransaction store. They've also made a lot of content changes for missions. They basically made it so that the spawn delays of enemies and the spawn distances between enemies has been reduced. Basically, they're trying to make it so that when you're doing missions, you're going to be able to complete them faster. Enemies spawn faster, they spawn closer together, and you should be able to clear them quicker and get your rewards faster. That seems to be a change that they've made in quite a few different areas of the game. They also adjusted Wall Crasher, giving it multi-hit resistance and multi-hit damage resistance. I believe this was to combat Serena, just frying Wall Crasher with weapons. And because of that, they've reduced its max HP. So Wall Crasher is going to have resistance to like multi-hit stuff. However, Wall Crasher's HP and max shield was reduced. So basically, hopefully there's more options to use for Descendants against Wall Crasher, and the fight time should stay relatively similar. I did a Wall Crasher earlier on Serena. We killed it in like a minute and 20 seconds. So still very, very quick kills. There's a bunch of other like miscellaneous UI improvements and such as that that I'm not going to be going through. I will leave a link down to the patch notes so you can read through all of them yourself if you'd like to. Guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you plan on diving back into the first Descendant for the big season update. Personally, I hadn't played in quite a while. Definitely rusty. Got a lot of things to farm. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will catch y'all in the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.